Hello, I'm ABX Toycat and welcome back to another video. Today I'll be showing you 5 mobs which used to be in Minecraft but which have since been removed. I thought it'd be cool to show off not only because of the fact that they're 5 features that just don't exist anymore, but also because, these show just how different Minecraft could have been if it had, kept any of these mobs in the current version of the game. And hopefully you do agree it's quite cool, and do like the video if you do like it because it helps out the channel a lot and lets me all see more stuff like this. But let's get straight into the video with number 5 here, because we'll be going in order of most recently removed to most far back removed, and the most recently removed mob was actually only removed in the last update, the 1.8 update, and that is the giant, or the giant zombie. So let me show you some very early gameplay of this thing, because the idea behind it was that it was meant to be this, like rare spawn mob that was meant to be just very, very terrifying and, terrorizing your land, because just look how giant this thing is. If you don't know, this is 6 times bigger than a regular zombie. It has a massive amount more health, and it's basically, a really, really big threat, and I guess it was kind of meant to be the early boss monster idea. But the big problem with this thing isn't its size, it's not its health or damage or stuff, it's the fact that it has real problems pathfinding. The Minecraft world isn't built for mobs that are 12 blocks tall, and as a result of this, you can see it has real problems chasing off the player, even though he's doing some basic stuff here. And yeah, you can even see in the background there's one that's just trapped in a little hole. So the big problem with the zombie is, getting it to pathfind properly was real problematic, and the reason the end dragon could work all the time afterwards is the fact that basically it glitched through blocks and kind of breaks them instead, whereas this mob not being able to do that means he just has real limited effect. Like, you can place a couple of blocks on the ground and boom, you're protecting the zombies. So he wouldn't have made an amazing boss mob, but I do think he's a really cool idea, and I think having like 1 in 1,000 zombies just spawn as a giant would have been a really hilarious thing. But unfortunately he was removed from the game in 1.8, all of his AI was removed, which is a shame because some custom maps or servers would use the giant mob and, set the environment up so that he could just about work, but now the AI has been removed and he is gone forever. Maybe he'll come back as part of a, third boss mob, like there'll be a giant zombie based one, but I do think that's unlikely for now. But that is the giant zombie, the 5th removed mob here. So let's move on to number 4, which was only removed during the 1.7 snapshot stuff, and that is the generic or default villager. So you might know that when you go across a MC village, it's always been the way that there's a bunch of different villagers with a bunch of different things. These different professions they have actually give them different trades, but every single villager used to have something called a default trade. So this default trade was 79 gold ingots for 1 emerald. It didn't come up too often, but you should have been able to get it from basically any trader if they ran out of trades. And basically, if you set the profession to -1 and didn't give them a real profession, a villager would just spawn as this default green villager. And as you can see, it looks very different and actually quite a bit cooler than a lot of the other villagers. And he was presumably meant for like bug testing, testing away from the professions. And it was probably never meant to be in the proper version of the game, which is why he was eventually removed. The generic villager no longer exists, but there is now a zombie villager, which you can find in the world, which does look a bit like him. So maybe that's a little bit of an homage to the fact that he did exist. He was a cool enough idea. He just had the default trade because he didn't have a profession, and I do think he wasn't there for bug testing, which has now been completed. So yeah, the generic villager is probably the least impactful of all of these. He was just a reasonably cool looking villager that could only be found through spawn commands, and it's almost an Easter egg, the way this guy was found, and I think that's quite cool. So yeah, let's move on to the next one, which was only removed in 1.6. So these mobs have actually been removed recently, even though they weren't put in the proper game for quite some time, because this is going to be the pig man. So if you've ever heard the story of how the creep was created, not just trying to make a pig, then got dimensions wrong, the immediate thing you want to come up with after that is like, why don't we have a pig version of a creeper? And as you can see right here, that was something that, someone suggested and Notch thought, yeah, let's put that in the game. So this is the pig man right here, and the exact specifications of what he was meant to do was never really known. Notch stated that maybe the villages would be run by pigs, but of course that never came to fruition, and eventually he did remove him from the game, and he did remove the bacon cape that the person who suggested him got as a reward because he didn't want people getting jealous. So presumably a lot of the reason that this mob was removed was because it would have set a bad precedent for Minecraft, and maybe Notch got so many ideas off this, he was just like, I don't want to do this anymore. And yeah, unfortunately in 1.6.2 the texture was removed, so there's no way to turn this into like a villager anymore, and that's a shame because I would have loved it if you just walked into MC Village and everyone was a pig. I think, imagine it's like it is now where they have professions and all their robes, but they're all pigs wearing the robes and they're pigs wearing the green shirts and stuff. I think that would be amazing, and it's a real shame missed opportunity there, and it's probably going to be in a mod somewhere, but still, Pigman in regular Minecraft would have been a cool enough idea if you ask me, and I think even if you don't, think about that, think about the fact that you can get zombie villagers. That whole step could have been bypassed. You wouldn't have to be like, oh, let's go find a 1 in 20, zombie. It could be just fixed like, oh yeah, when they get bit by zombies, they turn into zombie pigmen. So if you want to get pigmen into your world, just go to the Nether, bring some back. It would have been perfect in a lot of ways, and maybe terrible in a lot of others, but that is the Pigman. It was intended to be the village, kind of vaguely, or just a pig person, and it never came as the game, but I love the idea anyway. So next up, we have the human mob. So this is a mob a lot of people know as the Herobrine mob because, you know, it's just basically a really creepy, it's basically a copy of you as Steve, but that just runs around. And this was, you know, an early version mob that was kind of used for like playtesting, and it was meant to just be like one of the weird things that was in classic mode, because basically what used to happen is if you press the G key, that's right, he was bound to a hotkey, you would spawn in one of these guys. So they basically acted like zombies because they couldn't attack you with their punch, and they just run around kind of looking like you, and I guess maybe they were designed to, you know, make the world look like it was more inhabited, but the reality was they were just a very weird mob that ran around in circles, didn't know what it was doing, and just ended up running into you like a zombie would. So yeah, the human mob did have to be removed in the beta 1.6 update, and that's actually, funnily enough, where the removed Herobrine thing came from, because he jokingly said, oh yeah, removed Herobrine, because it's, you know, all that human texture and stuff, and as a result of this, it started putting him in every single update from then, and that is why removed Herobrine is always in the changelog. So fun little fact you might not have known, fun little fact I didn't know until I read up about the human. It's a mob that could have been quite cool, I guess, if it had been put in some way. Imagine if there's just a really rare chance if you're walking across Minecraft and you find a human who has a house and everything. I think that'd be kind of cool, but I think, you know, making this mob work in a decent way would have been really tricky, so that's the reason it was removed. So, funnily enough, this actually kind of continues the trend of pretty much all the mobs up to this point being removed because they're very humanoid. You know, the villager's basically a humanoid, the pigman is just a pig version of the human, Steve is literally a human, and the giant zombie is just a giant human. But that's going to stop with these last mobs. So these last mobs are one you might have seen before if you've seen my top 5 removed features videos, and they're one of the weirder things that could have ever made it into Minecraft. I really do think if these had made it into Minecraft, they would have pushed the game in an entirely other direction, because they were designed by one of the first artists Minecraft called Doc. So fortunately, you know, Notch and Doc had a disagreement before these were put into the actual game themselves, but they were put in quite a few test versions of the game, and they're very, very bizarre, because these were meant to be the mobs, and they are Beast Boy, Black Steve, Steve, and Rana. So yeah, as you can see, these just do not look like Minecrafty at all. They've got like curves on them, and they're not just made out of you know, random voxels. Very, very bizarre things to look at. When I see them, I get weirded out a little bit. And to show you some, you know, like development gameplay here, you can see them running around the background. They didn't ever have proper, you know, like logic. They just run around in circles. And I guess I'm glad that they never made it into the final version of the game, because like I said, I really think these things just changed the feel of Minecraft. Maybe you could argue for better, but to me, it's just weird. It's a weird like cognitive dissonance, and I do not like looking at this at all. So yeah, these are they're technically 4 mobs, but they basically have the same kind of logic that were going to be the replacements for like the spider, the zombie, the creeper, etc. And I'm very glad they weren't, because yeah, I think Minecraft looks much better in its current form with its current mobs, and thank God these things are removed. This is one thing I can say. No, let's just not put these in the game, and yeah, that's that right there. So let me know if you did like the video with a like on it to let me know, share if you really liked it, and subscribe if you're new around here. I make videos like this every single day on my channel, and if you subscribe, you'll see them all daily on your homepage. I love to learn new things about Minecraft, like what the max level is, like what mobs have been removed, all these sorts of things, and I like teaching them to you in these videos. So let me know in the comments down below which of these mobs you think would have been coolest, because I think, you know, the giant could have been a really cool boss mob, but I also think, you know, having a human mob just randomly spawn in could be quite cool. Or maybe you think that, you know, pigmen should run the villages. I'd love to know with, you know, that comment section. That's what it's great for. And besides that, I will see you all in the next video. So have a nice day, everybody, and goodbye.